Alright guys, lesson 2 here in polynomials is going to go a little faster I think than lesson 1. This is multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. Hopefully if you don't know what those terms mean, you need to rewatch lesson 1. Okay, monomial just means single term, right? So I could say like 3x, that's a monomial. And then today what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that by like multiple pieces, like maybe 3z plus 2y plus 1. Okay, and what we're going to end up seeing is that the distributive property comes back around, right? So we're going to just distribute this thing out to all pieces. That's the gist of where we're going today. So multiplying polynomials, as I just said, we're going to use the distributive property. So notice in this one here, and just remember, when you multiply exponents, you have to add those exponents. Some of you don't have that rule down yet. Make sure you practice that. So this is like negative 3 times 7 is negative 21. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. You have to add the exponents. Then I have negative 3x squared times negative x. I get positive 3x to the 3rd, because this is a 2 plus 1. Then for my final piece, negative 3x squared times 4 gives me negative 12x squared, and I'm done. Okay, so there's a big difference between multiplying and adding and subtracting. Adding and subtracting, you have to have like terms, right? Like terms is super important for adding and subtracting. When you're multiplying, you do not need those. You just apply what you see to everything. Okay, so, oh, I guess I didn't clear these annotations from the last time I did this. Okay, so let's try one. So for 1a here, I would encourage you to do this one on your own, but let's break it down here. So this would be negative 20a to the 4th plus 10a to the 3rd minus 35a squared. Okay, remember I'm just multiplying the numbers together, adding the exponents that are like terms. Okay, let's go to another one. I have this guy. So negative 6d to the 3rd, multiplying that by every piece, I get negative 18d to the 7th plus 12d to the 6th plus 6d. Notice it's plus because I'm doing a negative times a negative, right? That's why these are positive. So where was I here? 6d to the 4th minus 54d to the 3rd. Okay, just distributing is all we're doing. Now, for this example 2, the first example we're just distributing, getting you really used to that. Example 2, they want you to combine like terms after we've done that. So that's simplifying. Okay, so let's just do what we've been doing and then simplify where we can. So 3 times everything in here. This gives me 15x squared plus 6x minus 12. And then notice for this one, it's a negative x applied to everything. Okay, so this is going to be minus 7x to the 3rd minus 2x squared, and then a negative times a negative is a positive, so plus 3x. Okay, if there's anything that is a common term, meaning same variable, same exponent, we have to combine them together. So what we'll see here is that the x squareds are similar. So like terms, let's go ahead and do those. So we get 13x squared there. And then there's no other x to the 3rds, and I actually want to start, if I want to put this in standard form, I actually want to put the highest degree first, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to put this out front. Okay, so negative 7x to the 3rd plus 13x squared. That takes care of this guy, this guy, this guy. Now I'm down to my x term. 6x plus 3x gives me 9x, and then minus 12. Okay, so there is the expression simplified in standard form. And just to tie it back to the last lesson, it has a leading coefficient of negative 7, and it has a degree of 3. And I don't think they're going to ask you that, but just a reminder, it's important to be able to identify that. Okay, 2b. Let's do this one. Actually, you try this one out on your own. I'll get you started just so you can see what this looks like when you bring in 2 variables. So I'll start with it here. 15 times 10 is 150, so we're just going to multiply the numbers. And then notice there's no other y's, so it's just going to be y to the third. That stays the same. And then I have t times t to the fifth, which is t to the sixth. I have to add those two pieces. Okay, there's my first one. See if you can finish it. All right, so here we go. So 15 times 5. If you do 15 times 5, that gives you 75. So this would be plus 75 y squared t squared. To add the t to the first, t to the first. Okay, then I'm going to take the negative 2 and apply it out. So this becomes negative 2y squared. Careful there, it's y times y squared, t squared. Okay, and then negative 2 times 4y squared, negative 2y times 4y squared, I should say, is negative 8y to the third. Okay, now I'm looking for like terms, remember. And what I see here is that this term and this term have the same variables, same exponent, same degrees. So since they're the same variable with the same exponent, I'm going to combine them. So I'm going to leave the 150y to the third, t to the sixth. 75 minus 2 gives me 73 y squared, t squared, and then minus 8y to the third. And that is example 2b. Okay, and then I think I have one more for you here, example 4, and then I'll let you guys go with the shorter lesson today. Okay, so these says solve the equation. Notice if it's an equation, we have an equal sign. Okay, so we have to isolate the variable, get it by itself, right, and then solve it. They want to know what x equals here in this case. Okay, so that's different than what we've been doing. All right, so let's go ahead and distribute out and see what we get. So we have 2x times x, that's 2x squared. 2x times 4 is plus 8x. And then the plus 7 is on the outside, so don't try to distribute this 2x over to the 7. That's a big no-no. Don't do that. This is 7 by itself. Okay? That 2x only applies to what's in the parentheses. And then on this side I have x plus 8. Okay, that stays by itself, and then this one has to be distributed, right? So this is plus 2x squared plus 2x, and then the plus 12 is by itself. Okay, so now what I have to do is I have to combine like terms. So what I do is I combine like terms on one side of an equal sign, and then I move them across equal signs if I need to. Okay, so let's do that. On this side, there's nothing that is in common. Looks like there is with the x's, but they're not the same degree, so I can't do anything with that. On this side, I can combine some things. So I'm going to just rewrite the first side. Okay, and then I'm going to combine some things here. So first of all, let's write it in order of degree. Okay, so this guy is the highest degree, so I'm going to put that first, 2x squared. And then we're going to go to, highlight in a different color here, these x terms are similar. So I can go ahead and combine those and get a 3x. And then 8 and 12 is similar, so I can combine those and get plus 20. Okay, now that I've combined everything together on its own side of the equal sign, now I can go across the equal sign. Okay, so if I wanted to combine my x squareds, I can subtract them from both sides. And when I do that, they actually both go away. So I'm left with 8x plus 7 equals 3x plus 20. Remember that this equal sign acts like a scale, right? So whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Okay, so now let's get our x's to one side. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. And when I do that, this goes away, and I'm left with 20 over here. And then over here I have 5x plus 7. Okay, then I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides to get x by itself, right? We're trying to isolate the variable, and I'm going to just move this over here. I'm left with 5x on the left side is equal to 13 on the right side. Okay, so to get x by itself, I have to divide both sides by 5. And x is equal to 13 over 5. Or you could say that that's the same thing as 2 and 3/5, right? 2 and 3/5. Same deal. All right, guys. That's all for 4A. For 4B, which I highly encourage you to pause the video and do on your own, let's get into this one. Okay, notice how I distributed it all out already. I don't know why I did that for you already, but I did it. Okay, so you get this. Once I've done that, I have to combine terms. So d squared minus d squared, that goes away. 3d plus 4d is 7d, is equal to 9d minus 16. Subtract 9d from both sides. Okay, always move that so that you don't, it's always a good idea to move things so that there's not a 0 on one side. Doesn't matter if you do things right, it'll always come back, but I always do things that way. So 7 minus 9 is negative 2d is equal to negative 16. Divide both sides by negative 2 and I get d is equal to 8. Okay, so I sped that through that one quite a bit, but hopefully you paused the video and just kind of worked on that yourself for a little bit. This is it, guys. Multiplication, remember if there's an equal sign, you got to keep that thing balanced for the last part of the lesson. We'll catch you guys next time.